I'd like to call the meeting of the Hayden City Council to order. It is Tuesday, May 11th, 5 o'clock, 2021, May 11th, and we are located in the Hayden City Hall Council chambers. Roll call vote, please, Abby.
Council President Satterfield?
Yes.
Councilmember Roeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Panabaker?
Yes.
And Councilmember DeLange?
Yes.
Thank you. Tonight's meeting, just ahead, there will be a workshop following this meeting with respect to understanding and implementation with respect to the comprehensive plan. There are some, let's do Pledge of Allegiance first. If there's a Marilyn Griffiths here, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Griffiths. That's 2 T's, Abby, and an S.
Thank you.
There are some additions and corrections to the presented agenda. Number 1 is we're going to move item number 3 ahead of item number 2. That's the new math. And then with respect to the consent calendar, 2A and 2C will be omitted.
Mayor, we do have someone in the hall that is waiting for after the group to leave to also provide public comment.
Excellent. So we can do that. Is she by herself? She could come in. There's room.
It's okay.
Okay, then we're moving forward. Are there any other additions or corrections to the agenda, council? Hearing none, we will move forward. So this is the presentation with the Arbor Day Sticker Contest winners. The contest was available to our Hayden area schools and homeschool students, K through 8th grade. We'd like to thank Idaho Central Credit Union, better than just ICCU, for their generous Arbor Day prize sponsorship donation. And Roxanne Kussler, is that the correct pronunciation? Kussler, thank you very much, is here. Susie, would you like to make any comments, please?
Yeah, I'd like to, Lori's on the phone, and thank her for putting it together and getting it out to the schools. And she can't be here tonight, but she is by phone. So.
Perfect. Lori, consider yourself thanked.
If you want Lori to speak, you'll have to unmute her.
Lori's unmuted. Lori, do you want to say anything?
Hi.
Hello.
I'm sorry I can't be there, but I just, I thank the students for submitting their entries, and thanks to ICCU for sponsoring, and congratulations to all the students.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Is Lisa Troxel here? There you are. I know you. It's like, how could I not see you? Lisa is our Chair of Parks, Recreation, and Community Forestry. Pam Grinnell at North Idaho Christian. Let's go. There you are. Hi, Pam. How's it going over there?
Oh, great.
Good. I like coming to see you. Jenny, is it Malene? Malin. 6th grade teacher at North Idaho Christian School. I haven't been to your class though, right? Did I go to the 5th graders?
Years ago, yeah.
Did I go to your, okay. And we'd like to welcome parents and others that are in attendance. So can I read the results? We know, tell me how you'd like this done, because I was told.
I was going to say, I just present the awards, and then we can.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Do you have those then?
We do.
So Roxanne, I will let you do that with Lisa.
Lisa, I'll call their name and yeah. All right, well, thank you for everybody that participated. We're always excited and very sad that we couldn't do the full Arbor Day festival this year. And so let's start off with 3rd place. I want to congratulate Sammy Treehawk.
Say what she wanted.
Okay, and Sammy won a $20 gift certificate to Triple Play.
Can you stay right now? And that's what it looks like, okay. Awesome. Okay.
So Sammy, you're the first student ever to be on YouTube. Just know.
Want everybody to come up? Yes, that's a great idea. All right, stay up here. Okay, second place winner is Hayden Brock. Is he here?
Sure, if you want to accept for him. He's not feeling well, so he's not here tonight.
I'm so sorry.
Jenny, Miss Moline.
Here is his award, and his was Arbor Day 2021, 18th anniversary. And then the grand prize winner.
Let me just, real quick, Hayden has a $30 gift certificate at Triple Play, courtesy of Roxanne. Personally, right?
You bet.
Okay. Now,
Okay, grand prize winner in Bay Brummel.
Stand behind them for a picture.
you want to? We're going to have mayor and council come together behind,
Okay, great.
if that's okay,
Perfect.
and then below. So Matt, you're going to have to go on your knee and we'll be.
What she wanted.
Yes, she won 24 stickers, a t-shirt with the winning design on it, and a $50 gift certificate at Triple Play.
I can't see the mayor and council behind. You're going to have to stand.
Okay.
Dan?
But can you get them? It's far more important that they get, okay, if you get our midsections, it's great.
Okay, everybody this way?
Cheese.
All right, I'm sure what.
That's wonderful. We got one more. Oh.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Good job.
On a personal note, it is one of the things that makes Hayden phenomenal is the interaction that we have with our community at a lot of levels. And it's nice to get back to some level of normalcy with respect to Arbor Day and stickers. I look forward at some point to having all the students be able to come in and talk to the mayor. I miss that time. I guess it's third graders. Is it third graders? Second? It's just nice to be together. So we are now moving to, it said visitor and public comment. It's not. It's a presentation, and this is okay. We moved it ahead from Anna Torgensen. Anna is a student at Hayden Meadows. And Anna, what I need you to do, and you could do it with your parents, is to walk over to that podium. So you will be the first student to speak on YouTube from the podium. Perfect. Sometimes in the midst of all the things that we do, we lose track of why we're on the earth. And I was touched greatly by Anna. So Anna, the time is yours. Ooh, tell us who you are, where you're from, even though I already did it for the record. Tell us your full name, where you go to school, if you're okay, parents, with that. Okay.
I'm Anna Torgensen. I go to school at Hayden Meadows. I'm Anna Marie Torgensen, and I am from Hayden, Idaho. And can I?
Go ahead.
Hello, City Council members and Mayor Griffiths. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today. I'm Anna Torgensen. I'm 10 years old, and things need to change. For a while now, people have become more and more divided. Some people who are doing this think it is the right thing to do. I'm all for differences in opinion, but I feel other members of society are not open to differences. But some need a reminder that we are all people. Some of us have forgotten that. Some of us think that a Democrat is less of a human, or a Republican will never meet the standards of being a human. That's not what the Founding Fathers envisioned. They pictured America to be a united country, and I don't think they would like what we're doing with the nation now. Boy or girl, black or white, Democrat or Republican, we are all human. You may notice I'm using words like we and us. This is because I know that if we put our minds together, we can make the world a better place. Since the beginning of civilization, women and men have been treated differently. In olden days, women were expected to cook and do housework, but couldn't have any jobs outside the home. So while the men would work for most of the day, the woman would clean up everyone else's mess. I'm not saying all men were like this in the 1800s, but this was expected. While gender equality has come a long way, it is still not equal. As a feminist myself, I have realized that a lot of people treat women very unfairly. I think we work better when both genders share roles. For example, we have a female vice president, and I look forward to the day when we have a female president. Gender equality has come a long way, but it is still not equal. If you have been following the news, you know that a lot of people of color have been discriminated against. This is not okay to do. Like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "One day, I want my children to live in a world where the color of their skin doesn't matter." I can't believe people are treating others differently because of something they have no control over. We are all aware of the many recent examples of racism, like Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and Trayvon Martin, just to name a few. Racial equality has been a
Need you to,
Sorry, Anna.
It's okay.
There you
thank
go.
you.
Racial equality has been a difficult problem to solve. But to quote the famous Martin Luther King Jr. again, "We may have come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now." And I, for one, think we need more people to agree to get in the same boat. In conclusion, I believe we should treat people all equally. Our differences are what make this country great. Boy or girl, black or white, Democrat or Republican, we are all equal. I'm Anna Torgensen, and I hope you enjoyed my speech about equality. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Aaron. I am grateful that you came to be with us today. Any comments to Anna or anything else? I don't want to,
You know,
Good job.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
I am so impressed
Yeah.
with her. Everything she did right. I was taught that in, what's the speech, Toastmasters. And I mean, kudos to you. What an excellent speaker. Very good. Job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
She should get used to it.
Yeah, I don't think this is the last time she'll be speaking. So as Anna leaves, thank you, Anna, to you and your family. And you're welcome to go home wherever you want to go. Your parents probably should take you out for ice cream. Have you had dinner yet? Have you eaten yet for dinner?
Not yet.
Really? What do you want? Texas Roadhouse?
Mayor Griffiths, I think you promised her dinner at some
Did I?
point.
I know I did, so. Marilyn, can you give him your credit card, please? Thank you very much, all of you, for being here.
Didn't somebody get some free tickets for somewhere to eat?
We should, I know. Moving now to, we will still have visitor public comment.
Thank you.
And that will be later. Moving to consent calendar 2. 2A is omitted. 2B, approval of April 27th, 2021 City Council workshop minutes. 2D, approval of the City of Hayden 2021 street striping contract with Centerline Pavement Marking LLC. 2E, approval of Hayden Area Regional Sewer Board wastewater treatment plant facility upgrades payment request. 2F, approval of Laramie Estates acceptance of infrastructure. 2G, approval of written decision for Marks Ranch subdivision, PZE/21/0023. H, approval of written decision for Atlas Park subdivision, PZE/20/0226. I, approval of SCJ Alliance on-call planning services contract. J, approval of master development agreement for Atlas Park subdivision, PZE/20/0026. Okay, approval of master development agreement for Marks Ranch subdivision, PZE/21/0023. L, approval of the actual cost utility agreement for Ramsey Road extension, M, ratification of April payroll, and N, bills for payment. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar as read?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just one question on payables. I'm looking at page 7 of 29. At the very bottom, it's an expense, and it's for Horrocks Engineering, Inc. And my question is this, is that I know that we're studying Honeysuckle Beach and boat ramp to try to deal with some issues down there, but it says that it's a Honeysuckle Beach expansion study. And I don't know that that's really what we're studying it for, is to expand the beach. So I'm just looking for.
Yeah, that title can be changed. We're just looking at Honeysuckle Beach. So as the discussion we had today, I think we mentioned that it's not for expansion, quality and efficiency and safety.
There is no room to expand.
Right, well, that's why I asked the question.
So that's
Did I miss
just
something?
something we can change in the title of.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Is that funny?
all I have.
When I saw it, it was just, I thought we were expanding the pavement instead of the other, so I just didn't even want to read it, but thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Abby.
Council President Satterfield,
Yes.
Councilmember Panabaker,
Yes.
Councilmember Roeder,
Yes.
and Councilmember DeLange.
Yes.
Thank you. Visitor and public comment, do we have any? Ed's here. So Ed DePriest is the only individual that's on. So others could be for workshop later. And Ed, you asked for
That there, and if you could also, could we get
for the existing, not the future, right?
Well, I'd like to have them so I can tab back and forth between if possible.
And now so you haven't started yet, but I need to interrupt.
Okay.
I explained earlier, and Sandy, I don't know if you heard.
Okay.
That, so we're full.
Okay.
By the way,
I'm sorry.
so here's the deal. We are now effective today, stage 4. Stage 4, I thought meant that we were going to be within 3 feet. We can be within 6. However, if you're in the same household, sit right next to each other.
All right.
Hold hands. You know, no public, huh? Yeah, it's a little close. And we are on YouTube, but Sandy, because of your question, and I said, well, of course, this is the first meeting that will be on YouTube. Deleted. So thank you very much for that request, because it was easy for me. All I had to do was ask. It was much harder for the guy behind the lights. The man behind the screen. But we told the individuals early on that were here, we're grateful that this could be the case. So Alan, if you would like to sit next to your daughter, you do not have to. You may do it quickly, but we still are limited. Where is that, Brett? And don't worry, Ed, you're okay.
Yeah.
So stage 4 guidelines are really not a lot different than stage 3. There's still physical distancing and sanitation requirements. Provide for 6 feet of spacing between guests to the extent possible. Host event outdoors if possible. We could talk about that. But we still are of the 6-foot rule. And Ed, was it you that showed me a picture of another municipality that was not 6 feet?
Oh, that was the Dalton Gardens
I
deer
didn't want
meeting.
to specifically name, so.
I'm sorry, that was the meeting, yeah, over there. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. We're going to follow the guidelines as best we can, and we are today. But if you're within the same family because of stage 4, enjoy. What?
Did we get a roll call vote on the consent calendar? I got a motion in a second.
Yeah, we did.
No, so we did that already? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we did. So
I'm good.
Hearing that, I think, Ed, I'm going to have you speak first from a community standpoint, because there's discussion and concerns, and I hope that you can clarify some of those with
there will be
respect to the
discussion.
information.
That-
No, meaning after, there's been discussion to me from the public and to others here, I think to city council.
Okay.
With respect to inaccuracies and a lack of understanding with respect to what I hope you're going to touch on within your.
If you would then address to me, if I'm assuming what I think we're going to talk about, you say, Ed, here was the inaccuracy, and then.
Don't want you to, because I don't think that it was up to you. I'm just hoping that within the time frame, I'll probably have some comments after your presentation, and I don't know.
We'll see what happens.
Can I bring, Caitlin, because the comments can't be on the agenda.
Right.
And they're all, part of that's where I get in trouble before. So anyway, Ed, I will turn the time over to you.
Before I start my time, can I just thank the people here before I go into my thing? The people of the city have been very helpful. Abby, the planning people, everybody has been very helpful to what we've been doing with requests and the like. And I just want to say I do appreciate that, the helpful information I've been getting. So with that, ready?
Time is yours.
All right, start this here. Start. Okay. First of all, I'd like to address, thank you for hearing me again, that no one who understands the reality of the situation and what this responsible North Idaho group is sane. Yeah, there are some extremists, but basically nobody is saying no growth, stop growth, shut the door, shut the gate, yet people continue to use that hyperbole when talking about what we're trying to achieve. The key concern is that the cities are not obligated to plan to accommodate the projected number of people who will want to come here. The key again is density, which is addressed through annexation or not, and zoning. If I'm seeing things correctly, according to the Imagine Hayden Comprehensive Plan, Hayden is planning to accommodate 35,000 people who are projected to want to come here by 2040. If I'm reading things correctly, Hayden currently has about 15,000 to 16,000 people. So the plan is to accommodate more than double the current population. If you look at the future land use map compared to the current zone map, which was adopted 2 years ago, and I kind of, the Hutter bypass has been talked about for, my understanding, is like 30 years. I'm kind of curious why it didn't show up on the map 2 years ago, but.
That map wasn't 2 years. That's why I have to be careful.
It says 2019.
That's just when it was printed. So that information was discussed prior to, so that's okay. No, I got you. So.
Okay.
Either one. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page.
What you see on, if you look at this map and then you look at, hopefully I'm on the right tab here, this map, and granted the colors are more vibrant and jump out at you, but you see a lot of purple. That is mixed use, which is described as residential multifamily, 3+ units per structure. I don't see a maximum on there. Is 3+ mean it could be 30, 300? I don't see that. And, quote, fewer restrictions on structure types and densities and commercial. And this is replacing, what is it? Residential multifamily, okay? So, and I kind of have the question on the 2019 zoning map, and I talked to the mayor about this, and he said that is the current zoning law as of today, okay? Why are annexation requests and other requests compared to the future land use map, which is not the current zoning law as of today, when these come before the people? What if, by chance, the future land use map is not adopted at some point in time as the current zoning law at that time, and approvals of annexations or development have already been previously approved based on this map, if it were not to stay as it is by some way? Shouldn't the current zoning be used to determine if an annexation or development is approved, or wait until this is officially adopted as the zoning law of record? So basically, with the next minute and a half, what I see, and I'm just guessing here, and it's just a citizen going, what's going on here, is 30,000 people are being planned to be accommodated in the city limits, and I see a lot of purple. I mean, let's go farther, okay? Which is this mixed use. My bet is it's probably going to be apartments, higher density type of structures, which have replaced the residential multifamily, and that for the most part, this is where your 30,000 people are going to go. A great deal are probably going to end up in all these purple areas here. The people who are being replaced, especially along here, and I'll use D Court for an example, by zoning, which will allow this mixed use, which can be 3+ units per structure and commercial, their property values are probably going to suffer much more than people out here in the yellow areas. These areas here in yellow are currently half-acre lots, a lot of them, and they're turning into single family, 4 to 5 per acre type of thing. And so someone on a half acre is going to be swallowed up by tract developments and around there. So I'm out of time, basically, but I guess, my concern is the 30,000 people, why do we have to plan? I've said this before. Why do we have to plan to accommodate these 30,000 people, which they're saying are going to want to come here? So, thank you.
Thank you. There's going to be a workshop directly following this meeting with respect to comprehensive plan, clarities, and direction. And I think it's really important that certain specifics that have been out there are identified. And we'll use that workshop within that realm to identify it. But I want to make sure that there's clarity publicly. And D Court was identified as a street. So first of all, it was wonderful of the city to proactively send letters out. 2,000 letters were sent, 1,800, with respect to existing zoning and future zoning. A couple that brought a great spirit to my heart live on one of those streets, and that were in the discussion. That was their first home, if that is correct. And the individual that built the home was specifically going around, well, I don't know, I have to be careful, built homes in a non-R1 or residential area. And so it was important that clarity was provided with respect to those properties, because there's a flexibility within a city to be able to adjust, make decisions, and work within the citizen base to allow us to be able to do the right things, whatever those right things can be. And I know that people were concerned on D Court, since it was identified, that there would be a value issue associated with their land. I'm not a real estate agent. But flexibility and the ability to sell or buy property is a wonderful opportunity. I don't know, as not a real estate agent, if there's a value issue, but based upon my discussions, there's none. There's not a value difference, because there aren't any open spots on D Court. Donna, is D Court all residential, single family? Yes. Thank you. So all it is, and that's what's interesting, is we've sent out 1,800 letters, probably gotten 100 calls back. Some of those calls were for clarification. Most of them, people, as long as they understood what was going on, was just thrilled to death. And I can't thank the group that handled those 100 calls. 20 of them called me. I should have given them my wife's cell phone. I'm on the record. And because there's frustration, and there shouldn't be a concern that there wasn't anything but open transparency. This was before we move forward, this is where we're zoned, and this is how we're zoned. And if you've got questions or concerns, let us know. After that letter was sent and after a discussion I had with a couple who is here, I made sure that my zoning was what I thought it was. And I think one of the individuals made that same comment. They'll never buy another home until they know what zoning is. And there wasn't any lack of transparency. In fact, it was just the opposite, is we wanted to get out in front of those issues associated with zoning change and comp plans. Now, with respect to the other, and comments is probably the best word. Ed in the group that's out there, at baseball games, at the store, I get people coming to me accosting, derogatorily saying, how in the heck are you going to put 20 homes on an acre? And my thought is, it's impossible. Well, my email group is telling me that there's going to be 20 dwelling units per acre. And I said, so is a dwelling unit a residential unit? Well, I don't know. All I know is that that you're going to build 20 homes on an acre. And if I say no, they don't believe me, but the answer is no publicly. If you want to look at, and we'll talk about it during the workshop, some of the things that are going on, good or bad, that are planned, we have to be able to plan for it. Hayden was horrible. When I was the head of Jobs Plus, I could say this, it's okay. I didn't bring people through Hayden because there wasn't a plan. There was a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there. And when you do that without a plan, without growth in your mind or non-growth, without infrastructure, if you don't plan, then you fail. What was amazing about this process from the group that's a staff here is that they're planning. And we'll talk about in the workshop some of the information that was given or used within that plan. But please rest assured that we have constraints. Those constraints are traffic. Those constraints are sewer. Those constraints are water. Those constraints should be schools, and we're working with the schools to make sure that those constraints are identified. But this isn't simply a plan to allow 30, 25, whatever the number, 20,000 people to move here. The plan is to say, okay, if this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, then we need to be able to have a plan in place to be able to address it. And that's what we're trying to do. And I love the input from Ed and his group, because they're citizens saying either A, I don't understand, or B, I want to provide input, or this letter doesn't explain what it should have explained. All those things are real. We're a group working together to try and do the right things. So this is not adversarial, this is transparent. In fact, more so than any city that I've ever been a part of. And some cities have told me, why did you send letters out? All it does is confuse. And my thought was, no, you send letters out to be able to try to get information. And then you put a plan together based upon constraints that we'll talk about during the workshop. So Ed, I commend you. You're getting calls at 4 in the morning. You can look to the lady to your left. She knows that my emails sometimes are responded to at 1 in the morning because people deserve an answer. And we're trying to do it right. But we have constraints. We also have information that's going to be out there and presented with respect to where we're going to be and how we're going to get there. And is it the right thing? We moved here in 1970. And I respond to a lot of the emails with this. When should we have closed? And like Ed said, we're not talking about closing the door. We're just trying to do it with an idea in mind that we can't just be rampant. We can't be unchecked. We can't be unfiltered. And we're not. We're not. So those that want to see me at baseball games when I'm with my grandson, you can ask about 20 units, and my response is going to be, I can't put 20 units on an acre of single-family homes. But if we look at what's north of Lancaster and west of Government Way, that's a good example of trying to be able to balance as best we can. I'd like, part of me wishes we could go back to a blinking light at Government Way and Hayden Avenue. That's what it was in 1970. There wasn't that big thing called Highway 95. But I'm grateful for the blessings that have come to my family because of the growth, because my kids live here and my grandkids live here. So I'm grateful for that. And I think we're all trying to move in the right direction. So that is my comment. And did I do badly, Caitlin?
No?
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. So having said that, we're going to move forward, but also this is good stuff, and it's good to get feedback, and it's good to be able to walk through issues. This is new stuff for us. I didn't move here so 35,000 people would be in Hayden. But if things are going to happen, then we need to prepare for it. And then if we have constraints, we'll address those constraints. And some of them, we can't buy land to make Government Way more than 3 lanes. I've had those that's some of the 2 in the morning. Well, you just need to expand it to 5 lanes. We can't afford to pay police. How am I going to buy land? And then one of the greatest comments was, and this is really funny, well, you should have planned for it. And that's when I just smile and say, you're right, we're trying, and we'll do the best we can. So for those that are watching, for those that are here, there's going to be a workshop so we can address and go back and understand what a future land map looks like, a comp plan, what are the constraints and how the comp plan was identified. So I'm grateful for your feedback. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that Ed DePriest lives here. And I mean that because we have an ability to be able to talk. And I hope he doesn't wreck his really cool car. No, that's the coolest car. I thought about that. I had a dream because we had a friend that had his car for like 10 minutes. I don't know. Moving forward, for new business, A, action item PZE-21-0022, Rock Hayden Square subdivision.
Donna, can you share the screen again? I apologize.
Well, did I not do that?
Well,
Sorry
I
about that.
turned it off, sorry.
That's what I mean. We're not any. Good. Okay.
Just close?
No, don't push that. Go down and get your presentation again at the bottom.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so we've got 2 public meetings, and I've done marathon work, but I'm not sure I'm going to get them done in 20 minutes, so I'm going to try.
Sorry, no, I probably should have saved some of those comments for the workshop, but I want to make sure that we were moving forward.
It's all right, it's all good.
Thank you.
So tonight it's a public meeting on Rock Hayden Square, PZE 210022. And just to give you some background, this property was annexed in July of 1991 by ordinance number 204, and at that time it was zoned commercial. Development team, applicant and the engineer of record are Gordon Dobler of Framus Matana. And the owners are Rock Properties LLC, and the developer is John Young of Young Construction, who's here in the audience. Just to give it some context, the applicant's proposal is to develop a large piece of property that is south of Lancaster, east of Warren Street and west of Highway 95 into 19 lots, 2 of which are larger lots. It'll have an internal street ending in a cul-de-sac and another street that'll go out and meet Warren Street. And this is a joint driveway that is used by the Lancaster market as well. And due to elevation differences, that's why it's a cul-de-sac and a driveway. It's because it just doesn't work, doesn't connect. So So I have smooshed the slides and taken out all the standards of approval listed in the slideshow. They're in your PDF on your screen. The PDF starts on page 21 under item 4A. Those are where those standards of approval are listed. A full analysis was provided in the staff review on pages 23 through 33 of that same PDF. And I've just summarized that staff review here. So in infrastructure analysis, we note that a will serve letter for water was provided by Avondale Irrigation District in January, and that Northern Lakes Fire Protection District had comments related to construction at the time of the subdivisions, and that was provided in April. A will serve letter for sewer was provided by the city of Hayden on January 26th. The gravity sewer mains internal to the project shall be connected to the main either in Lancaster Road or in Warren Street. That no individual service lines will connect directly to that 24-inch main line. It'll actually have to have 8-inch main lines off of it. And all manholes shall have all-weather access. Stormwater shall be addressed on site through each of the site developments, and then snow storage shall be reviewed at the time of the construction plan review in accordance with Title 8. So they'll have a snow storage location back on the end of that cul-de-sac to the north, as well as standard snow removal that'll go into the swales on either side of the street. Type 2 street frontage will be installed at the time of building permits, and that'll be installed on the internal roads, on Warren Street, on Lancaster, and on Highway 95. So there's quite a bit of street frontage going on. Any landscaping associated with any green space tracts or any joint stormwater swales shall be constructed and required as part of the subdivision and not as the individual building permits. Based on the information provided in the trip generation letter, a transportation analysis was required, and it was attached to the staff review. And actually, it was in the staff review with the Planning and Zoning Commission. I pointed to it because it's been out on the website since the Planning and Zoning Commission, since the staff review was completed for the Planning and Zoning Commission, but I didn't include the whole transportation analysis because it's quite lengthy in your packets. But I did include Melissa's memo, and the intersection of Government Way and Lancaster Road has a required proportional share of $59,909 as a resulting extraordinary impact. So this extraordinary impact could either be collected as a single lump sum, or it could be collected throughout the development as an additional 16 cents per square foot of building. And that was what the developer requested as his option, and Planning and Zoning recommended in their recommendation to City Council. This extraordinary impact does not eliminate the possible need for a site-by-site analysis as individual lots develop. So just as a kind of a encapsulation of the infrastructure and the street typicals, the internal roads are going to be built to a local typical section for commercial. Lancaster is an A1 typical section, an arterial, and Warren Street is a collector, a C1. And the minute we have adopted in January as part of the transportation plans, we adopted some access standards that identified how far apart your intersections could be and how far apart your approaches would need to be, and that helped reduce conflict points for transportation. So the minimum intersection spacing is different depending on if you're an internal road where your speeds are much lower versus a higher speed road like an arterial where you really want it to be, throughput, not having conflicts of intersections. And the same thing goes for the minimum approach spacing. I do want to note that Lancaster Road does not allow for individual approaches. So those lots, there'll be 2 lots that are on Lancaster. They actually will have a joint easement through the lots and out into that driveway or onto Warren Street, but they will not have access onto Lancaster. And then Lancaster Avenue also has a Class 2 bicycle lane that's a requirement of that frontage, and that Class 2 bicycle lane exists today, so it's already there. So there was an error in the staff review on page 26, and it's really interesting because these staff reviews go through a lot of eyes, and John found it he looked through it the first time, and then he found it just before the planning and zoning. So we just want to note that the roads that are identified on page 26 of the staff review are not part of this project, but that the road construction and right-of-way dedications will occur for Warren Street, Lancaster Road, and the internal streets as part of the subdivision construction. So geohazard stabilization measures shall be addressed at construction plan review, because although everybody thinks it's very flat out there, it's not entirely flat, so you have to address those. Our code in Title 12 requires that all utilities shall be installed underground within the development. The final location of driveways shall be reviewed by the city to address any conflicts with the local streets or with Lancaster or with Warren Street, as well as any conflicts for possible access points with the snow storage locations or utility locations. The mailbox location shall be determined based on the USPS and the City of Hayden requirements. So with every subdivision, we kind of do a zoning analysis. This is proposed to be a commercial subdivision within the commercial zone. And we did want to note that under the new, newly adopted zone code, that residential uses are no longer allowed in the commercial zone. So this is an entirely commercial endeavor. And there is a full comprehensive plan analysis within the staff review. We identified 5 goals within the comprehensive plan that would apply. And 10 or 11 policies that also would apply, and then a couple of actions that actually are addressed in the action plan for the city as part of the comp plan. So one of the other standards specifically says that the developer has made adequate plans to ensure that the city or the community bears no more than its fair share of costs to provide services by paying fees, furnishing land, or providing other mitigation measures for off-site impacts to streets, parks, and other public facilities within the community. It is the expectation that in most cases, off-site improvements will be dealt with through agreements. So all on-site and off-site improvement shall be required by the developer, extension of infrastructure per the adopted city code standards and plans, mitigating of off-site improvements as required, and the additional transportation mitigation for the extraordinary impacts. The city noticed 20 agencies, and of those 20 agencies, we heard back from 4. The Coeur d'Alene Airport had no comments and requested an navigation easement. Harbs had no comments. The Idaho Department of Environmental Quality provided comments related to time of construction, and the Northern Lakes Fire Protection District did as well. And we received no public comments for this subdivision. So the staff recommended conditions of approval, I think, start on 33 or 34 of your staff review, and they're really summarized here. With all subdivisions, there are dedications and easements that need to occur on the plat. Any joint stormwater requirements, easements, or maintenance will be addressed as part of the subdivision construction plan review and or the plat. They're required to meet the Northern Lakes Fire Protection District requirements. We'll be reviewing the driveway locations at the time of each lot development. Street lighting shall be concluded as part of the construction plans. The landscaping plan is submitted at the time of construction. That kind of gives everybody an idea of where the trees are going to be and how many of them need to be placed, although they'll be placed at the time of building permit. The Coeur d'Alene Airport requested an navigation easement over the entire property. Mass grading plan there's a requirement for a mass grading plan if there are more than 2 feet of pushing of dirt, so that has to occur. And then any areas that may be mined, that also has to be noted on construction plans and or the plat. ADA requirements related to any pedestrian crossings has to be met. The extraordinary impacts are to be collected at the time of building permit. And then detailed analysis will occur during the construction plan review, and the city will determine if changes are required to be made, and if those changes are minor or major, and then the resulting process that would occur. All permits from outside agencies shall be obtained prior to construction or building permit issuance, and the approval shall run with the land. So the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the proposed commercial subdivision with staff recommended conditions of approval, which leaves the city council may approve with conditions, or deny the request for the subdivision.
Thank you, Donna. Any questions for Donna? And I'll start here because it's easier to lean the other way.
Sure, I'd like, Donna, hi.
Hi.
This lady knows so much, it's amazing. It's like, so I ask her a lot of questions. My question is this property located within the Hayden Urban Renewal District?
Yes, it is.
Okay, there you have it.
All right. So, because we're talking about, one of the things is the impact that this development may have on the city. So, once the property starts to develop, because it's in the urban renewal district, meaning all the streets, and the roads, and the sewer lines, and the buildings, every dollar that's collected tax-wise on those properties does not go to the city. True.
Will go to the city. At once the urban renewal district was set up so that infrastructure could be placed. So once that urban renewal district is dissolved, then the upgraded values will be going to the city in perpetuity.
Right, but that's in like 9 years, 8 years.
But I mean, in terms of, we just need to be careful. It will go. It doesn't go right now, but it will go once that's dissolved.
Unless the urban renewal district is continued, which can happen. So my point is this, because the concern I have with any kind of growth right now is what is the impact on our police, public safety, on the road crews and that. But again, this development, and I want to make sure I got this right, but every improvement done to that property, when it gets taxed, it goes to the Hayden Urban Renewal Agency and not to the city. So that's money that could be used to help mitigate the financial impact of that development. And that's a concern that I have, not just with this property, but in general, because the cost to try to keep up with all the services it's astronomical. And so I just want to make sure it is in the urban renewal district, and that do we really know what the fiscal impact is on that development to the city, because all the improvement is going to go to the urban renewal district?
Hey, so Matt, so the impact fees that they pay for transportation, that comes to the city, and the sewer connection, the capitalization fees, those come to the city. So I think you're just talking about the tax increment only.
Yeah, which would be property taxes that would normally go to NIC and to the county and the library. All those taxes now are added up, and that money, instead of going to those separate taxing districts, goes to the Hayden Urban Renewal District. And so that's what I'm concerned about is, the impact of growth. This is just the big picture is how are we going to pay for this growth when that tax money isn't going to be used to be paid for growth through the urban renewal?
In a comment came, Donna, maybe I can address, first of all, for those that are on, urban renewal districts were set up to be able to provide, it was the greatest economic development tool for commercial development to create jobs for our area. So when this urban renewal district was set up, it was set up to allow for infrastructure to be able to be put in place, which will allow commercial growth. And the reason that commercial was so important is because for every dollar in property tax a commercial entity pays, their usage is far less. I think, Councilmember Rhoda, you said 20-something cents?
89 on the report I gave at last.
For commercial.
For
Good.
commercial, and $1.08 for residential.
And that's changed back and forth, so they'll use less. But those dollars were put in to be able to allow for infrastructure growth so that we would get properties just like this that will pay the citizens of Hayden in perpetuity. This is a commercial play, and it bothers me with respect to comments that say that the money goes to urban renewal. It does for a period of time to allow infrastructure to be able to be implemented so that the values of those properties increase significantly because they have commercial properties on them, employing people. So now we can employ people. We have a huge increase in value associated with that land that didn't exist prior to urban renewal. So Councilmember Roeder was correct that for the first however 9 years that are set up with respect to the end of this urban renewal district, and I don't know if that's 9 or 8, but that's the whole reason that an urban renewal district was set up. So when we talk about growth in terms of monies going to another entity, this entity provides infrastructure, public infrastructure, so that the future values of those lands are significant and are paid directly to the citizens, paid back to the city, which then is used to be able to pay all the other tax requirements associated with it. So I just wanted clarity in moving forward to your comments. So.
Can you also answer about the renewal, that there's an opportunity for it to be renewed?
I don't know of an entity, if that question was for me, I don't know of an urban renewal district that has been renewed. Some have been expanded or created. Many have been dissolved. So I don't know, maybe Jenny, do you know of any?
I don't think so, and I think the latest resolution does not allow them to just continue. They have to expand, but they can't expand by more than
10%.
10%? Yeah.
So there's the limit, so thank you. And that's okay, and then I shouldn't have legally done that, but that's okay.
So Mayor, what I understand is, okay, it can close, but then you can open up a new one and start all over again.
You can create.
So that's what I'm saying, is that concept can continue on within the city.
But that concept would then go to an area that doesn't have infrastructure. It's not going to go to the same area because that area already has infrastructure, and that's what an urban renewal district is supposed to focus on, is infrastructure. So I don't know, again, I've only been here 20 years, so it could be more, but I don't know of any urban renewal district that was reset up with the same boundaries or requirements that existed previously. And I do know that we can't arbitrarily set up an urban renewal district anyway. So there's a lot of feedback from a community, but just for those that don't know what urban renewal was at a time, we had unemployment about 22% in the 5 northern districts and about 18% in Kootenai County. And urban renewal allowed us as citizens to be able to provide infrastructure which will provide commercial growth. So, and this is all, Donna, all commercial property, correct?
Correct.
There's no residential property.
Correct.
So thank you, Jenny. It was Jenny Gilliam, the head of economic development for Kootenai County, that provided that input. So any other questions? Yes.
Just one statement. Part of the things that we've been trying to do over the years is to provide jobs and surround the airport with commercial and light industrial so that residential doesn't squeeze the airport out of existence, which happens in some communities. So we've been trying to do that. This is just one of the tools. Urban renewal is a good tool used correctly. And there has been cases of it where it hasn't been used correctly. So we watch this and make sure. We don't have money laying around just to do these things. So that's one of the tools that we use when possible to make something happen that we couldn't otherwise do. And this is a good thing for us. So.
Thank you. Councilmember DeLange, Council President Satterfield.
I have one question.
Sure.
Donna, do we have a different roads standard in how the roads are built when it comes to commercial, light industrial versus residential?
Yeah, they're different widths. And Alan could speak to.
Should I make sure my mic's on? Yes, we do. We have, the structural element can be substantially more depending on the projected truck traffic. So typically on a commercial, they either have to develop our minimum standard or one that's been developed by a geotechnical analysis of the traffic generation and the existing structural element of the road.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Mayor, if I may, in regards to urban renewal, you know, I can't think of a development since I've sat in this chair that's perfect. And I look at, throughout my career, I've had to look ahead, years ahead, and look at that because that's part of the big picture overall. And there's a lot of folks sitting here that are talking to us about density. Well, I'd certainly rather see this commercial where we will eventually get better tax dollars than see, what was it, 20 houses per acre?
It's not, please don't perpetuate.
Okay,
I would like to sleep.
I lost my head for a minute.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, we don't collect the taxes right away, but we will eventually. And in the long-term plan, it is better for the city.
Usually, Jenny, urban renewal districts, they exist maximum of how long?
20 years.
20 years?
20 years right now.
Okay, so this was created, so Councilman Broder on that, when was this created? When was our urban renewal district created?
2005. 24 years is the length of it.
24 is on this, so that's what I thought. 2005? That's what I thought. So it's been in existence for 15 years. So yeah, I think I agree. It's a 24 year on this one, so, yeah, thank you.
It ends in 29.
So that's good, yes.
Real quickly too, years ago, and I'm talking 30, 35 years ago, we looked at an opportunity to raise our levy rate. We were given a short window of opportunity in the late 80s to do that by the legislature. But at that time, the recession was going on and everybody was broke and people were walking away from adjustable rate mortgages and all of that. And we sat in this place and we thought, why do we want to take money from people if we don't need it? Government does that all the time, you know, and then they budget next year and they grab more so they can spend it. We've never done that here. In retrospect, it was a bit of a mistake. We couldn't see 30 years into the future what the cost would be and the growth that we would have and all that. So we have been trapped with a levy rate in Hayden that's lower than anybody else around and with very little sympathy from the state on how to change that. So one of the things that we did is we looked, okay, the cost of taking care of light industrial and commercial around the airport are far less than residential. And so if we do that, we not only provide jobs, but we get a little additional tax revenue so that we can maintain the lower levy rate on the residential homes in the city of Hayden. And that's what we do. So.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve with conditions, or deny the request for this subdivision?
I'll make a motion
to approve. First, he makes the motion to approve with conditions.
So you move to approve this recommendation with respect to conditions that were already set up. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Abby.
Councilmember Roeder?
Yes.
Councilmember DeLange?
Yes.
Council President Satterfield?
Yes.
Councilmember Panabaker?
Yes.
Thank you. Action item PZE-21-0031 Brown Zone Map Amendment. Sorry, we're running a little bit behind. Those that are on P and Z, we'll get there.
Okay, so this is PZE 21-0031. It's a zone map amendment. The applicant and owner are Lucas and Emily Brown. The proposal is requesting approval of a zone map amendment from residential suburban to residential single family. And this is for 2 lots that total approximately 1.915 acres in size. So this property is located south of West, oh, wrong, that's not West Orchard, but it's West Wyoming, south of West Wyoming. We've had lots of eyes looking at this one too. Approximately 230 feet west of North Ramsey Road. So this is Stinson Estates on the north side. This is the new Coila Court that has just been developed, and this is the Browns property, and there's a little parcel in the back. It's about 60 feet wide. So these are the 2 pieces of property that they are looking at requesting the rezone from residential suburban to residential single family.
And the impact of that, Donna, would be? For those that are on YouTube, I know. Sorry about that.
Getting there. Just hold that thought. So just as looking south from Wyoming, this is what you see when you're looking at the property. The original house that sits on the property sits quite a distance back on the property. And then it's a cute little white picket fence. So the surrounding zoning, just today's zoning map, you've seen kind of views of that earlier. Stinson Estates, which is a sea of residential single-family homes, is zoned residential multifamily. They're adjacent to residential suburban directly to the west and south. Further to the west is zoned residential single-family, and further to the east is zoned also residential single-family. They're surrounded on all sides by residential single-family homes. It's important to note that the property directly to the west does have a riding arena on the property. So again, the standards of approval are found on page 19 in your PDF under 4B. But to kind of recap those standards of approval, the staff did not find that any additional studies or plans were required for this request. And the Planning and Zoning Commission did not recommend any additional conditions upon rezoning for the council's consideration. So when you're looking at the at a zone map amendment, one of the standards asks you to look at how does this piece of property and how does that zone map amendment land in the future land use map and with the comprehensive plan. So as you can see, the future land use designations show that this piece of property is in a sea of single family residential. So the comprehensive plan analysis, going through that, you see that there's about 6 goals. We always look at both zones, both the current zone and the future zone when we're looking at zone requests. And so there's about 6 goals, and there's 4 policies that kind of relate to those goals. And then action item number 3 kind of really addresses that move from residential suburban to residential single family. And see on pages 21 and 22 of your PDF is a complete listing of each of those goals and policies. So this is why they're asking for this request. The residential R1 zone was established to protect stable neighborhoods of single-family dwellings on smaller lots. And as you saw from the previous and in your staff review, they're surrounded by stable residential neighborhoods, but they're all on smaller than 2 acres, 1.19 or whatever that acres was, that nearly 2 acres of property. So the purpose of residential suburban zone is a land use classification suitable for single family dwelling units on larger lots and ag uses only. And they also have a minimum lot size of 0.5 acres. So concurrent with this zone map amendment, the Browns applied for a boundary line adjustment to move the boundary from that 60-foot lot all the way in the back to just directly in front of their residence that exists today. The Browns are the proud owners of, I think they said 7 children, and they've always dreamed of having a multi-generational kind of family, and they really want to move Mr. Brown's parents to their house site. And so they looked into putting the house to the rear of the property, and it became cost prohibitive very quickly. And by moving the lot line to in front of the existing home, they can create an 8,250 square foot lot, meeting the minimum lot requirements of the residential R1 zone. So the density wouldn't be any different. They're proposing to keep the back, still the back, a large backyard. But that's the reason for the zone map request. So just as a comparison, I always like to plop up the residential suburban with the residential and just do a comparison. Front yard setbacks are the same. Accessories are the same. Side yard setbacks are the same, except the accessory side yard in residential suburban is 10 feet, and in residential single family, it's 5 feet. The flanking street setback is the same. The rear yard setback for the principal is the same, except the rear yard for the accessory is 5 feet for a residential single family and 10 feet for residential suburban. The heights are the same. The lot coverages are smaller for the residential suburban, but remember, they're on half an acre lot versus a smaller 8,250 square foot lot for residential. So there's only a 10% increase there. That's the difference in the lot sizes, and the frontages are the same. So as part of the zone map, as part of the zone map amendment request, agency letters were emailed out to 20 agencies, and we had 3 responses. The Coeur d'Alene Airport had no comments and requested an navigation easement. Hayden Lake Irrigation District had requirements at the time of the building permit, and the Northern Lakes Fire Protection District had comments at the time of building construction. We did have one public comment that was kind of mixed into the middle of the Hayden Lake Irrigation District's response, and so there was an email string that, if you read the staff review, I questioned if the second portion of the email that we received from Hayden Lake Irrigation District was personal opinion as a personal opposition, or if it was speaking on behalf of the district, and it was not. So that's why they're kind of broken up, but it appears as one comment, just for clarification. So then the applicable legal standards for a zone map amendment are in Title 11, Chapter 1 of the Hayden City Code, and then Idaho State Code has 3 code sections that also apply. So the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the requested zone map amendment from residential suburban to residential R1. So the City Council may approve with conditions, or deny the requested zone map amendment.
Thank you. For the record, do I have to indicate that I slept in that house before it had heating for a year and a half? Does it make any difference?
Does that make it a national monument?
No, it makes it one of the coldest houses I've ever lived in. Our dog lived in the wood-burning stove area for 4 months out of the year. And the owners do not own the home to the west, that 8 acres west, because it's a 10-acre plat, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Donna?
Just one. So there's no way, they have 1.915 acres there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way they can configure the additional house on the almost 2 acres as it's zoned now? Because it's, you have 2 houses per acre.
They worked long and hard. I'm trying to find a good picture. So as it's configured now, they have a really long stretch, and they have a 60-foot wide stretch in the back. And they worked long and hard to try to move the line up. Trying to.
Do you have one that shows an aerial?
Yeah, I'm looking at that.
That's the one.
So see how they,
See
I don't
where
know, they have outbuildings and stuff in the back. So to put the house in the back, they'd have to tear down outbuildings, have a long paved driveway to the back and all that. And that just didn't really fit what they wanted to do.
As well as being cost prohibitive.
So,
Yeah, it was just really expensive, and that wasn't working out for them, so.
Their whole goal is just to have 2 houses on that, period. That's
correct.
Okay. Thank you, that's all I have.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve with recommendation, with conditions, or deny this request?
I'll make a motion to approve. And I don't think,
There were no conditions.
no conditions.
From PZ. Okay, so we have a motion to approve, consistent with the recommendation from Planning and Zoning. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just want to comment on my vote. I'm going to vote yes on this, even though it goes against our, in my belief, our comprehensive plan, because comprehensive plan says that we should have a mix of different zonings. But we have very little residential suburban, which is 2 houses per acre. And so this is a very rare property and a rare zoning that would go into a much larger number of R1 properties. And so it goes against, in my mind, our comprehensive plan because we need to have a mix of it. I like more open space. I like 2 houses per acre. However, based on the situation, they can only put 2 houses on this, I'm going to vote yes. So I just want to clarify.
But I like the clarification because as we discussed later from a comp plan standpoint, there was a reason for the comprehensive plan to include different options. But in this case, it's sandwiched, so I appreciate your comments. Any other comments? Hearing none, roll call vote, please, Abby.
Councilmember Panabaker.
Yes.
Councilmember DeLang.
Yes.
Councilmember Roder.
Yes.
And Council President Satterfield.
Yes.
Can we wait for the reports later? I know that everybody, we're about 15 minutes late. Can we move forward for the workshop?
So the workshop is another meeting. You'll have to adjourn this meeting before you go into it.
Is there any reason why we shouldn't adjourn this meeting? Then is there any other information that we want to share? Council,
can share.
anything?
I can show what information I had at the end of the other one.
Okay. All right, Councilmember, are we okay? I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion, the meeting is adjourned. And then do I need to call I do.
Can you give us a moment to?
We can get them.